going on, guys? In today's video I'm going to be talking about 3 books that can help you to increase your productivity, help you focus on your goals, and help you overcome procrastination. So keep watching. So the 3 books that I recommend are Deep Work, The One Thing, and High Performance Habits. I put links to all 3 books down below, so make sure you check them out. And the reason why I want to make this video is, like yourself, you probably struggled with trying to concentrate, trying to knuckle down and get work done. You have a million things you want to do and you don't know how to start, and then you start going on YouTube, you start listening to music, start walking around, and before you know it, the day's gone by. You've got several hours left of the day, and all of a sudden you're trying to bang through as much work as you can, and even then you're not getting done what you want to do, and you're in that kind of panic mode. So in this video I wanted to share a few tips that have helped me to stay productive, stay on top of work, and really stay away from that last minute urge to get everything done at the last minute and end up in me being panicking and me being anxious. So the tips that I have are as follows. Firstly, planning your day in advance. Now it sounds simple, and to some of you it might sound a bit more tedious. But even if you don't follow through with what you're going to do the next day, just planning what you're going to do, planning what kind of work you're going to be doing, the amount of hours you plan to spend on doing that work, really steps you forward and really gives you that head start that you need. It'll help you to stay more focused and avoid procrastinating. And what I tend to do is I tend to plan my week ahead in advance. So every Sunday I'll sit down and really write down what I'm going to be doing the whole week, the time schedule, the type of work I want to do each day. And what I found is, even if I don't follow through with some of the things, because I know the amount of work I want to complete by the end of the week, I tend to end up completing more of the work. And I also have time scales, so I know that, for example, when I was studying in the past, I would have an exam in 2 months' time, and I know that if I don't get X amount of work done the next day, then in 2 months' time I'll probably end up just cramming as much as I can into one day. So now what I tend to do, even though I'm not studying, I'm just reading, I'm learning about my own craft. So what I tend to do is spend an hour or 2 and just put that down in my day and make sure I stick to it. I have strict time schedules, and I really make sure I sit down at that time and really try and do as much work as I can. And although it's not perfect, it's an ongoing process, and the more you're able to get better at it, it's like building a muscle. It will take time, but the more you're able to do it, the more you're able to put yourself in that situation, the stronger you'll become, and the more work you'll find that you get done. So that's tip number 1. The second tip that I read in Deep Work and also High Performance Habits is the idea that you block websites and apps that distract you, or even better, place your phone somewhere far away from you when you're doing work. And the reason why this is important is because what we tend to do, and a common habit that we've formed now in this generation, is clicking through our phones, clicking through apps, just unconsciously when you're bored, clicking on Facebook, Instagram, and before you know it, you spent an hour or 2 just flicking through these apps, and it gets you distracted. You could be spending that time focusing on work, getting a lot of work that's important to you done, but instead we just find ourselves getting bored and distracted. So this technique where you hide your phone, you block certain websites and certain apps through blockers or apps that are designed to block these websites, and through this you can just find yourself being a bit more motivated to work and procrastinating less. Don't get me wrong, you might still find yourself procrastinating, but this can be a very useful tool to prepare yourself when those times when you unconsciously just start flicking through your phone, start browsing different websites, and you click on a certain website, and then instead of the website appearing, it's blocked. And in those times, these apps can be really useful. So that's tip number 2, which is to block websites and apps, or even better, hiding your phone or laptop so it doesn't distract you. So give that a go. Tip number 2 is meditation or mindfulness. And you're probably thinking, how is this going to help me with procrastination or productivity? Well, it's quite simple. Through mindfulness and meditation, you're building the ability to stay focused on your breath or something in front of you and put your attention fully on it. And by doing this, what you'll find is sometimes thoughts will appear, but over time you'll be able to just acknowledge that thought being there and then just stay focused on whatever you're doing. And as you can understand, this translates completely to staying focused with productivity and getting your goals done. Because often when we're trying to focus on work, we start getting distracted, we start getting bored, tired, certain emotions come into play, and what we tend to do is we kind of go off with the emotions, we go off with the other thoughts. But through mindfulness, you teach yourself that, the thought is a thought and you don't have to react to it. And rather than reacting, you can then stay focused on whatever you're doing in front of you. So it's a tool that can be used, and again, like building a muscle, it does take time. You do need to keep practicing it, you do need to do it quite regularly and consistently. But what you'll find is, as you get better at mindfulness and meditation, this will translate into productivity and your goals, where you're able to focus more. And even when you start to procrastinate, you'll be able to switch back on and stay focused on your goals. So tip number 3 is mindfulness and meditation. And finally, tip number 4. This is basically something that's helped me, and me being someone who's quite active, who's quite physically just wanting to move around, and someone who struggles to sit down a lot. And this technique is basically setting a timer, and within that timer, you get a certain amount of work done. There's a name for this tool, and it's literally not coming to my head right now, but I'll make sure to post a link below. But essentially what this technique teaches you is to stay focused and really, in that small amount of time, knuckle down and just get as much work as you can done. And the way it works is quite simple. Perhaps if you're starting out, set 20 minutes, and within that 20 minutes, get as much work as you can. Stay focused and just go hard with the work. Then after that 20 minutes, take a break, maybe 5 minutes, maybe 10 minutes, and then come back again and do another 20 minutes of work. And what you'll find is, over time, as you go along and start kind of getting better at this, you can start increasing the time. So before you know it, you'll be from 20 minutes to 1 hour. And by doing this technique, you're training your mind to stay focused and really relentlessly get work done in that time frame. And often what you'll find is, if you're really immersed in the work, if you're really enjoying the work, even though you've got 20 minutes on the timer, you'll probably go way over. You probably go through to an hour. And I've done that several times, where I'm so focused on the work and I've gone into that flow mode where I'm just constantly doing work, not getting distracted. And even though I've set a 30-minute timer, it goes to 1.5 hours. So give that a go, and that's tip number 4. So those were 4 tips that I got from the books I mentioned at the start. Check the books out and try these tips and let me know what you think. I've put links, like I mentioned, to the books below, and make sure you check out my previous videos and subscribe and follow.